Welcome, modern day mystics, fellow truth seekers. James and Justin here, and today we have a special guest with us. We have Sujan Setty from the Advaita YouTube channel. Now, he is an author, he is an architect, spiritual seeker, and student of Vedanta. His channel focuses on conscious creation, the Upanishads, non-dualism, consciousness, whole lot of stuff.
Does it all.
Yeah, so really looking forward to this. We won't keep you waiting, so without further ado, let's get into it. All right, Sujan, thank you so much for being on the show. This is great. You have a very fascinating YouTube channel called Advaita, and I thought maybe for our guests, maybe a good place to start might be with your personal journey, how you got started, what brought you up to this YouTube channel, because it says in your description that you're an architect, you're an author, you know, there's a kind of a life leading before this somewhere. Then I'm curious to know a little bit about that, and I'm sure our audience is.
Yeah.
So you have the floor.
Yeah, sure. So yes, like you said, I'm an architect by profession, and architecture was something that I was passionate about. Designing, creating different things was something that I was very passionate about from a very long time. That's why I chose architecture, and I was really good in my in when I was in the school of architecture. Then I started my own company and I grew it. So we have a team now. So, when it comes to this, right, when you asked how I came to Advaita Vedanta and my fascination about it. So ever since I was little, like all of us are, I was extremely interested in the nature of reality. What is the purpose of life? Why are we here? What is the point of life? But then as we grow old, we tend to, forget those questions, right? Like we get busy with life. So that's what happened. And life went on and I became an architect. I was, from a very young age, I wanted to do something big. I wanted to create different things. So there were, lot of unconscious conditioning. I call it unconscious ambition. We have ambition, but we don't know why. It's because of societal conditioning. But when we are in that phase, we don't know why it is. We think it is what we actually want in life. During my journey, in my life, I faced certain circumstances, and some incidences shook me to my core, and I started searching for answers, about nature of reality. And throughout my journey, when I was a teenager, I also came across different teachings and different books on personal development and on law of attraction, Think and Grow Rich, The Secret, and all that I was studying when I was in college and when I was in during my teenage. But then, and I was applying those principles. I could find some results in my life, but none of them uh, talked about fulfillment, joy. None of them talked about going in. They were all focused on, getting something from outside, right? And after some point, everyone will come to know that ultimately it is not fulfilling. Only seeking things outside of us. And that is when I came to the teachings of Advaita Vedanta, which is an ancient tradition in India. The teachings are more than 10,000 years old. Uh, but once I started studying these principles, once I started studying the Upanishads, everything shifted for me. Like immediately something, clicked, something said that this is it, this is what you were looking for. And for a few years, I went really deep into these teachings. And yeah, that is how I came to it.
Wow, beautiful story. What kind of stuck
Yeah.
out there was kind of already having some type of a foundation
Yeah.
of kind of like almost like a security blank. Like you had kind of found your place in life. You were
Yeah.
established, And
Yeah.
so that opened up for kind of like a flexible, you know, view to kind of like search for these deeper questions.
Yeah.
You have a lot of options. Like India is like kind of like the homeland of like
Mm.
so many faiths and
Spirituality. Yeah.
yeah, spirituality and religions.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
was it about Advaita Vedanta that
Mm.
stuck out beyond all the other options that you could have chosen?
Yeah, but yeah. The question is, obvious because India is a hub of philosophy, of spirituality. There are hundreds of different philosophies. But I think when it comes to this, I think I was just lucky because when during my quest, Advaita Vedanta was one of the first philosophies that I came across. Before this, I was exploring yoga, different aspects of yoga and meditation. But then soon I came to Advaita Vedanta. And after I came to Advaita Vedanta and after I chose it as the philosophy for my life, I came across different other philosophies, but none of it I could relate to as much as Advaita Vedanta. And I tend to look at these philosophies as models of reality. The reality itself is very complex and it is so much out of the reach of a human mind and of human intellect. And these philosophies are models of reality. And it's not that one is true and the other one is false. It's just that there are different ways of looking at reality, and whatever one can resonate with more, I think one should choose that for their life. I think I feel this is the right way, and many spiritual teachers in India tell this. It's not that one philosophy is right and one is wrong, but when it comes to Advaita, as far as I'm concerned, I think this is the most sophisticated philosophy that even science cannot refute. All other philosophies, if I talked with my atheist friends or if I talk to a scientist, probably they would refute it in a few minutes because they tend to focus on certain faith-based systems and approaches. But Advaita Vedanta is purely intellectual. It is purely self-inquiry based. So even I was, my mind is in that way.
Yeah.
Like I tend to think about things rather than accepting it without,
Yeah.
inquiring about it. So
Right.
I think that is why I chose Advaita.
So is it just out of curiosity, because it is sort of sounds like it's logic based and rationality based and scientifically even based?
Yes, yes.
Is it fair to assume that part of the process is like, okay, you use your faculties of your mind to
Hmm.
essentially open a door out of the
Yes,
ego. You know what I mean?
yes,
I noticed you
yes.
in one of your videos I saw you talk about the Matrix, and I think that's a great comparison
Yes.
sometimes. And it reminded me when you were telling us your backstory of how you sort of established yourself, and you're like, well, where's the deep fulfillment? Where's like the deep fulfillment coming from? It is a good comparison to me, comparing the traditional sort of capitalistic approach to life as almost being
Yes.
like the Matrix. It's like a facade that you break out of, and you can kind of get a better idea of what was going on there afterwards.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We don't even recognize that we are in the matrix, right? When we are within it, we
yeah,
think that it is absolutely real and
right.
our desires are real, our desires are absolute, and we think that we will find fulfillment after achieving all those things in life. But the sooner we realize that at least there is something outside of this um, matrix, then I think that we can go in that direction.
Yeah. So maybe we can talk a little bit about that, because a
Yeah.
big focus of your channel is kind of like trying to decode the nature of reality and what's going on. You have
Yeah.
your book called Decoding God. So
Yeah.
for you in your exploration and the things that you've studied,
Hmm.
maybe you could talk a little bit about what you've found.
Yes, sure. So just to give an introduction to this philosophy, right, of Advaita Vedanta,
Yeah.
uh, Hinduism and Sanatana Dharma, whatever we call Hinduism today,
Yeah.
it's basically Sanatana Dharma, the eternal religion. The foundation for it are the Vedas.
Yeah.
And these Vedas are eternal in the sense that they are not written anywhere. This word does not denote any book as such. These are eternal truths that are there in the universe. And when a person or a rishi reaches that level of consciousness, if we can call that, they receive this knowledge and they propagate it to the next generation. These are the Vedas, and this is the foundation of Hinduism. And the philosophical aspect of the Vedas, which deals with the nature of reality, the nature of self, these are the Upanishads. And Upanishad and the direct interpretation of the Upanishads is the Advaita Vedanta. So this is Advaita Vedanta. Advaita Vedanta is the foundation of Hinduism, we can say, in one way. And coming to my exploration of it and how I have come to understand the nature of reality, right? Um, so for very long, I thought that reality was something that we could totally comprehend with the mind. So that was what I actually thought, and that is how I started exploring these scriptures and different books and different teachers, etc. But and even after I found Advaita Vedanta, at least for some time, I thought that the philosophy itself is absolute and ultimate. But the nature of reality and the nature of God is is a concept that is so far out of reach of human intellect that when we try to bring it into language, right? we it is bound to become limited. It is bound to be,
Yeah.
misrepresented in some way. And I explore different philosophies. There are within the interpretation of the Upanishads. There are different philosophies in India. There is Advaita, Dvaita, which is a dualistic interpretation, and there is Visishta Advaita, Shuddha Advaita. There are different interpretations of the scriptures of Upanishads. But then, for me at least, what I came to realize was that this Advaitic interpretation, the non-dualistic approach, is is the most clear way to understand reality. Of course, no philosophy can be absolute by itself because the philosophy is in language, and we are trying to explain something which is beyond language. But when it comes to the teachings of Advaita, those ancient rishis and those ancient teachers who have given this philosophy, one of the most important teacher that I study is Adiguru Shankaracharya, if you have heard of him. He is the sort of proponent of Advaita Vedanta. He's the one who gave us Advaita in this form. And later on, many teachers, including Swami Vivekananda, Ramana Maharshi, many teachers taught this philosophy and validated it. But yeah, this philosophy of non-duality is the most clear way to understand reality, in my experience and in my exploration. And the philosophy itself is simple, but to digest it is difficult, but to conceptually get it is quite simple. Shankaracharya, it seems, once told, I could sum up the teachings of all the books and on the nature of reality and of all the scriptures in one sentence. And this was it. He said, Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya Jiva Brahmaiva Napara. So this is a Sanskrit sentence. Here he is basically saying three things. Brahma Satya, which translates to Brahman or God is real. Uh, Jagat Mithya translates to this world as we see it and experience it. It's an illusion, it's an appearance, it's a matrix. And the third point is Jiva Brahmaiva Napara, which translates to Jiva, which are individual human beings like you and me. We are one with that infinite God or consciousness. We are nothing but God in reality. It's like the God himself has created this matrix and he has put himself in the position of Jiva. But in doing so, he has forgot who he truly is. And he's living this life of limited identity with the body mind. And once we understand this, once we digest this, once we go beyond the identification with the body mind, we realize the nature of reality and we realize who we truly are. And we will realize that we will never wear this personal identity. So this is Advaita Vedanta to sum it all up. And God is of a different dimension. It is in Chandogya Upanishad that is said Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. So everything is God. It's like every aspect of existence is God, and every there is nothing apart from God. So this is non-duality. There is God and there is nothing else. If many people nowadays are not comfortable with the word God, uh, there are atheists, there are agnostics who are not comfortable with this word. So we can use the word consciousness. So the entire universe is a projection in consciousness. Every aspect of this universe is consciousness. Even quantum physics is coming to this. If we break open atoms, there are protons, electrons, and they are nothing but energy. The matter. There is nothing called matter. Even science is saying this. And this is exactly what Shankaracharya said 1,000 years ago. He said matter appears to exist, but when you inquire deep enough, and once you go deep enough, you will find that matter does not exist. And what exists is consciousness, and consciousness is all there is. That is the truth.
It's I've been saying this little thing recently, which is the physical is spiritual and the
Yeah,
spiritual is physical,
yeah,
one and the same. And it's interesting
yeah.
because I feel like our day and age, we're starting to get like breadcrumbs that allude to this possibility, in the sense that like my one of my kids got a virtual reality headset thing, and some of the
Hmm.
stuff that you can do on that is very immersive. Like it feels
Yeah,
like you're in it. And as
yeah,
technology advances, it's like, okay,
yeah,
it's going to become more and more possible to inhabit simulated realities. And then it's
yeah. Which
like,
is just like this. Yeah,
just like this, it's almost
yeah.
like a hint or something reality's
Yeah.
giving us that
And
this
yeah,
is this is
if we think
possible.
about it, right? Like if we think about it deeply, what is to say that this is not a virtual reality? Even I think Elon Musk and people like they are saying this. Like, what is to say that this is not a simulation? Like, it is easily possible, right? Like to see, we are totally dependent on our sensory organs and sensory inputs to conceive reality, and the Matrix movie could be actually true.
Yeah.
If,
Oh yeah.
even intellectually speaking, like there is no reason why this cannot be a case. But yeah, but what Advaita Vedanta argues is your nature is beyond this matrix. But right now, with your identification, you are stuck in this matrix. That is what it says.
It's interesting, the notion that God has forgotten who they are. And
Mhm.
I try to weigh that against the fact that there's other people, right? Like sometimes you say it's like
Mhm.
God forgotten who he is, but also everything is
Mhm.
God. And it's like, well, which one of
Mhm.
us is God? Which
Mhm.
one of us is the real avatar? And
Yeah.
but it's I don't think God is beholden to like the same rules that our limited mind
Yeah.
thinks about, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
it's
This is
possible
where we
that
come
all
to
of
the
us,
limitation. Yeah.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
where we
So
come to the limitation of the mind. Yeah.
exactly, limitation of the mind, which brings me into my sort of next question for you, because I'm loving everything you're saying, and I think there's a lot. It's making a lot of sense. But so, given this, realization, and you've looked at the, Advaita Vedanta, and decided it's a good religion or whatever. In the end, have you actually had a mystical experience as a result of maybe doing some of the practices involved, or the through doing self inquiry? Has it actually led to any mystical experiences for you personally?
No mystical experience such, no mystical experiences as such. But the more I go into this philosophy, the more I meditate, the more I contemplate on the nature of reality, the more I'm realizing that this philosophy, what it is telling is the truth. It is not a faith for me. It is becoming more and more
Right. Reality.
real to me. But and coming to your point, right? there are different approaches to spirituality in Hinduism. There are philosophies of Tantra and there are Kashmiri Shaivism. There are different other approaches and yoga, which focus on having a mystical experience.
Yeah,
Advaita Vedanta, particularly, uh, nowhere in the path you will it guarantees a mystical experience because this
right.
is an intellectual inquiry. So we are not doing any practices as such. We are not doing any techniques as such, right? This
I
is a
see.
philosophical inquiry. In Hinduism, there are different approaches. Through mystical experiences, also you can grasp the nature of reality. And instead of that, this is called Jnana Marga, the path of intellectual realization. This is purely intellectual in nature. We
Got it.
just contemplate on the nature of reality. We study the scriptures. We go deeper and deeper, and at some point, we break open the matrix and we go beyond it. Yeah, that
So
is how it is.
is there some degree of trust then for the people that are pursuing some of the mystical stuff? Because like I just want to be a little careful here. I mean everything I
Hmm.
say with complete respect.
Yeah.
But in one of your videos, which is very interesting, you talked about past lives and you kind of broke
Hmm.
down knowledge of past lives, and that was so
Hmm.
interesting to me. And the question that arose to me was like, well, how do they know? Where did this information of past lives or an afterlife
Hmm.
or any of this stuff? Where does it come? Because I don't remember my past lives
Yeah. Yeah.
necessarily, unless I'm off in my imagination.
Yeah.
But to nail down something solid,
Hmm.
how do you come to
Uh,
terms with claims about the past life? Like, what validates claims about that, or is that something that you have your own thoughts on?
yeah. So coming to different aspects of it, right? When it comes to the things that are not in my experience yet, I try to study them from reliable sources. And for all these questions, I tend to go to Swami Vivekananda's works. And there are 10 books which covers the entire life of Swami Vivekananda. And I have them and I keep
Okay.
exploring them. And I suggest you read them because they're,
Yeah. Maybe we should put a link
they're
to that or something.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, yeah, sure. I can share it with you. And they're really amazing. What Swami Vivekananda says is very simple on this case. He says that it is accessible to us, that memory is deep-seated. It is accessible to us, but one has to go through elaborate practices or elaborate, states of elaborate methods of meditation, etc., to access them.
Yeah.
And for the question of why do I don't remember them, he says that you don't even remember what you ate yesterday. So how are you supposed to remember
Yeah.
something that happened thousands of years ago, right?
Right.
Forgetting something is natural to us, and
Yeah.
the nature has created it in such a way that because once we remember the all of the experiences that we have been through, it actually becomes a burden for us because for the few decades that we live in this world, imagine the amount of trauma people carry, imagine the amount of pain and suffering they go through. Someone
Yeah.
did this to me 10 years back and I suffer that today.
Yeah.
Imagine if we could remember all the things of thousands of years.
Yeah.
Imagine that a mind cannot handle it. But these yogis and rishis who have total control over their mind and body, and once they go deep enough, all those memories become accessible to them because they can handle it. So for most of us, it is good that we don't have access to it. But it
Yeah.
is said that it is actually Swami Vivekananda makes it as a challenge. You come to me, I will, if you are patient enough, I can show you how you can access these memories. Yeah.
Yeah. Super When
Yeah.
when when approaching kind of like the Upanishads or the Vedas and
Hmm.
stuff like that, we've done some reaction videos on some of that content, and people have
Yeah.
left comments saying like you got to be cautious at how you like approach this stuff because like if you don't do it without the right teacher or if you do this wrong, you can like make yourself go crazy. What are your thoughts on that? Like, because I understand, like, there's a lot there. There's a lot of
Yeah.
information, from what I
Yeah.
understand, inside of all these ancient scriptures. What would you say to someone who's new, coming to this and approaching this?
Yeah. So it is always recommended that you study this with a teacher or a guru. And the good thing today is there are people online who are teaching this, and there are very good teachers who are doing this online. And in different languages, people, whatever their native languages, especially the Indian languages and English and Hindi, there are different teachers who are doing it. And this danger of, going in the wrong way in spirituality is, I think it is more in other approaches of other philosophies and other approaches. Because when we explore Tantra and Yoga, you are using your body and you are using different postures. You are using breathing techniques, which are very dangerous if we don't understand how to do it. And many people have, gotten into difficult situations because of misunderstanding and misimplementing these teachings. But Advaita Vedanta is it's an intellectual exercise, right? Either without a teacher you might not fully understand it, but just by understanding it slightly in the wrong way, of course you need to understand this in the right way to go in the right direction. But this is not as dangerous as certain other approaches. But it is always recommended to seek seek professional help.
Makes
Yeah,
sense. How many things
Yeah.
in real life do you just jump into without getting some kind of a heads up about what to expect and everything, right?
correct. Mm.
Yeah. There's kind of like a view, maybe it's kind of a traditional view on like accumulating some of this information. And some people talk about like this will take you a lifetime. This will take forever. You know, there's so
Mm.
much there. You won't even get it in this lifetime. You'll have to live many lifetimes before you
Yeah.
under, understand this stuff. And I get it. There's a lot there. But one thing we like to do here is kind of like explore new avenues of approaching things. And I was just thinking of kind of like technology and our
Mm.
advancements and AI and the way that we consume the information that's coming in. I was curious what your thoughts are on like take something like Neuralink, putting something
Mm.
in the brain, and if you were able to like download this information, like is this do you see people like being able to consume and learn this quicker and faster in the future? Are we moving into a new day and age of understanding this stuff where like more people are gonna like have this and figure it out and
Instant enlightenment.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about instant enlightenment, but like you said, there are different philosophies, right? Within Sanatana Dharma, there are thousands of different approaches. And there is Christianity, there is Taoism, there is Sufism. There are different religions and different approaches. And within Buddhism, again, there are many approaches. So what is recommended is the guru of Swami Vivekananda was Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. What he used to say is, even though there are many different philosophies, if you keep exploring them, you will not get anywhere throughout your life. So the best thing to do is look at the philosophies on the surface, whichever resonates with you more, just choose it as the philosophy for your life. Then within a few years, within a decade, you can do a lot of progress, right? If we choose one path, and if we start moving toward moving towards our goal in that path, obviously we can make progress. If we just keep exploring different paths, not doing anything,
Yeah.
then obviously no matter how many lifetimes we spend, we just it just becomes an intellectual exercise. So that is what is important for a spiritual seeker, to choose one path, whatever it is. There is truth in every religion, whether it's Christianity, whether it's Buddhism. There is truth in all of it. There are different approaches, that's all. But one needs to choose one path and move in that direction.
Is one a permanent student in some sense? Like, does it make sense then that even as you grow in wisdom and stature, that you probably always be could use to have a teacher of some sort? Or is it that some people grow beyond that need and they're just like the ones that are the role of the master and they're not a student anymore?
Yeah, like it seems like that for some people. But then
Yeah.
what again on that very point, what different gurus tell is that you are looking at just one part of the jiva's entire life, right? They would have had thousands of different lives, and they would have worked on themselves in
Right.
like yeah, the karma part, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you worked on, let's say we work on our spirituality, and we work on ourselves up to a certain extent in this life. It is in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna clearly says that when you're born again, whatever all the good works that you've done, those are not lost. You start from where you had left. So yeah, for coming to that point, some people, they would have evolved a lot in their previous lives maybe, and in this life, some of the um, greatest spiritual teachers that we see today, like it seems like suddenly they got it, and they achieved that absolute
What do you
thing.
think of
But
a figure like Osho? Because he sort of,
mm,
I first of all, I think that he had a capacity to really to know a lot of things. Maybe a super, like above average capacity to like do the thing where he actually learns a lot about all different things, but he has all of it. It's not the same thing as somebody that's sort of like picking and choosing different things and not devoting themselves to anything. It's not the same thing. But
yeah.
he seemed to display a capacity to actually know a lot about a lot of different things. I was just curious because I think I heard you mention him in one of your videos. I just
Yeah.
wanted to know what you had to say
Yeah.
about that or
So
what you thought.
yeah, Osho was an extraordinary teacher. Like
Yeah,
he was ocean of knowledge. That is where the name came from.
yeah,
And but yeah, but like I said, right? Like we should not. It is never recommended to judge these spiritual teachers,
yeah.
because we don't know their journey throughout
Right,
different life times. We
right.
only look at their life today, and it's sometimes doesn't make sense. But yeah, he I have not studied Osho a lot, but whatever he says, right, the based on some of the books on like that Osho, based on Osho speeches and some of his videos online. So he was definitely um, he at least I think he had got whatever it is there to get in out of reality, and the way he spoke and the way he communicated, it was really amazing for me.
We really like Osho around here. We've
Yeah,
reacted to a bunch of his videos.
yeah,
But yeah, he
and
seems to be
his sense of
masterful.
humor also. It is
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, he's hilarious, very
amazing.
smart. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know if
Yeah,
this guy's enlightened or just very smart. Like,
yeah,
can you be so smart that you're unenlightened?
yeah.
Because he's so clever and witty. Like, even when people try to come at him, he's
Correct.
a good
Yeah.
example to me, to follow, but also very controversial at times.
We've talked quite a bit about like lives, this life, the next life, but I'm curious a little bit about death and the process of death and what happens. And from your understanding in your studies, what happens at death? What is death? What is the mechanics of this system? What is happening?
So yeah, in Vedanta, there are for these questions there are clear explanations, right? So it is said that there are three bodies that is associated with each and every one of us. First, there is the physical body that we can see and feel, the blood, bones, tissues, etc. And then beyond that, there is subtle body. This is the energy level and thoughts, feelings, emotions, belief systems, personality. So all these things are associated with the subtle body. And then there is something called as the causal body. It is said that avidya, or ignorance and identification with our own system, lies at this level. So these three are the bodies that is associated with each and every one of us. And when what we call death is the death of the physical body. So we can only see it and we can only experience that. So, and the subtle body or the sukshma sharira, it is not visible to the naked eye. So when the physical body dies, a person is very much alive. It's not the death of anything, like according to the scriptures, and it's like it's not just I'm not only talking about the point of view of Hinduism or Advaita Vedanta. This is a very common understanding in Jainism, in Buddhism. I don't know particularly about Christianity, but in most of the religions in the world, the rebirth and reincarnation, and there are some, I think, some journalists and some researchers have documented this also. They have searched people, based on some memories they had, and it is very if we try to search something on that, we'll find it. So yeah, what we call death is the death of the physical body, and the subtle body, along with the causal body, it simply moves on to the next physical body based on the karma that it holds, based on the memory that it carries. Uh, the parents and the circumstances which are most compatible to that memory. So it finds that parents, it finds those parents, and it is born there. It is explained like this. So this is an infinite cycle. So there is no end to it. Uh, this is we are born, we live, we die, and we go on accumulating memory
Is it always
until
human, or could it be aliens on another planet? Could it be an animal? Is it always human?
no, it is not. It need not be always human. But what happens is once it is explained that even rocks, plants, and everything is consciousness, although they are grossest expression of consciousness. And human beings are said to be the peak of evolution, right? So usually it doesn't go the other way, it is said. So once we become humans, and there are other dimensions, what we call aliens, it is explained as different dimensions, different parallel realities. So there are a lot of things. But yeah, it need not be always human. But the nature of the memory that we accumulate is such that it is usually always human because
I bet you that's
we,
it. Sorry. I
yeah.
was just thinking about how much of a comfort knowing that this gets accumulated over time could be to people, because I think everybody experiences some kind of loss in their life. And maybe some of the struggle people have with death is like, it will have been for nothing. Like, I lived and then I died. Why would I have lived at all if I'm just going to die and nothing was accumulated? And it seems like it would be a comfort to know that there's an accumulative aspect to this thing. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
but
felt like I
yeah,
wanted to say
but the sad point is that what we accumulate is usually negativity. As
that. Oh yeah,
that is the problem. Most of us
yeah.
think about what we do. No, like most of us do not choose to serve others. Most of us, like how many people choose spiritual life? Like
All
it's
right.
very rare. So
Can't you
most of us
decide
are.
though? Couldn't you be like, I am gonna dedicate my life to accumulating good? Could you
You
not
can do
do
it. Yeah,
that?
I'm just asking how many of us do it. But yeah,
Right.
we can at any time we can choose that path, and that is the point of spirituality. If we choose to accumulate good things, of course we'll experience good things, and not just in the other life, even in this life, right? The whatever actions we perform, our state of being is like that. Our thoughts are like that. Our belief systems are like that, and we attract such a life.
Right.
So you said that it kind of like it infinitely keeps going.
Yes.
I always thought that it would eventually kind of like arrive at some source and then maybe start all over again. But you're saying there's like a projection always going forward. Does that mean like we're like the lessons that we learn now? There's like a never-ending learning on top of learning. Like you're never really getting the full piece. It's only going up.
No. It is an infinite cycle until and unless we break it. Like to break it, we have the potential. Like
Oh, okay.
let's say the point of Advaita Vedanta, the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta is simply this. This is a tool that you can use to break that cycle and be one with that infinite consciousness, and you're no more in the rat race of this, in this cycle. That is the point of all spirituality, not just Advaita Vedanta, Christianity, or whatever religions and philosophies there are out there. The point of it is to be one with God and to break the cycle.
Right.
But what I'm saying is most of the world is not at that place. Most of the world, like including us, like even we, most of us who choose spiritual path, we do it part-time, right? Like we have a full-time,
What was that term
like
that you used earlier? It was like unconscious something. You coined a term and you called it unconscious keep
unconscious ambition. Yeah, yeah, that
unconscious
is,
ambition was it.
yeah, yeah,
And
correct.
why would you
That
keep
was the place that I was in.
right? And it's unconsciousness seems to
Yeah,
be the thing that keeps you entering the cycle of death and rebirth, entering back into
absolutely.
samsara is unconsciousness. So the whole point is to become conscious. And I
Yes.
think when you've gotten some, when you've raised your consciousness to some degree, you can start to see like, oh, it's possible to be more conscious. Like it's,
Hmm.
he had a good idea for some artworks. He thought it would be neat to put a guy like a Viking on like a giant ship, and you see tears running down his face, like coming to awareness, like, I don't want to do, where am I? Like, all of a sudden I'm here, So many people in their lives, they are unconscious that they're just acting on code, on pre-programming. And the idea of getting conscious, you can get a sense of that within your lifetime. And
Yes.
I guess if you take it far enough, you can exit the cycle of death and rebirth and be one with God again.
Well, you were
Yes.
talking a bit about the rat race there, and I
Hmm.
was wondering what you might say to someone who stumbles across a video like this and they're hearing us talk about all this stuff and they're feeling beaten up by, life, because it asks a lot out of us, right? And, a lot of it's because of the choices that we make to be engaged with this stuff. But what would you say to that guy? Where's a good place to begin for someone who is trying to become more conscious, who is trying to like get out of the rat race?
Yes. So yeah, like in my experience, like I said, nothing comes close to explaining the nature of reality like the Upanishads. So we need to hold on to some philosophy in life, I think, because reality is the way it is. It's so complex, and it is beyond anything that we know, that we need some guidance. And these ancient rishis of India, they have tried in every way possible although it is so difficult to explain this, with the
It's
limitation of
paradoxical.
language. Yeah. Uh, and there immediately there are dichotomies, right? Like we need to we need to accommodate two totally opposite things. In our experience, we are absolutely limited. I'm as a body, as a mind, I'm absolutely limited. But I need to understand that I'm infinite and the entire universe is because of me. Imagine the dichotomy
Right.
there. Imagine it's so the mind will start to break there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, but I think we need to uh, fall back on the scriptures.
Right.
Even Swami Vivekananda used to say Bible is a beautiful scripture, but most of the people who teach Bible do not understand it. So in some of his lectures, he explains different concepts in Bible. So whatever philosophy, that is why. But we need to go very deep, and we need to find teachers who are actually very deep in that, and who are living that, and we need to take
Speaking of
support.
teachers, as you were speaking there, I was thinking about Sadhguru. I saw a video where he pointed to like something on his ankle, and he was like, "This thing actually sort of like keeps me here or something." He just went over it real quickly. I was like, "Wait, what does that mean?" But I've heard of this concept of having some kind of a bracelet or an anklet or something like that keeping you grounded. And I was thinking as you were talking about this idea that it's paradoxical. We're both completely limited, but the realization you actually arrive at is that, like, you're an expression of God. You're part of it. You're God, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so, speaking of teachers, just to go down that path again, what do you think about Sadhguru? He's another character that makes really radical claims sometimes, And again, I kind of like Sadhguru, but he'll every now and then touch on aliens or or talk about some pretty mystical stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think of him?
Yeah, definitely he is a big light in the world today. There are very less people, some people, I know some of the things that he says, uh, for for a a scientific mind, and for us who do not are so like we are not used to used to these concepts which are not
Right.
in our experience. So it seems like he's making stuff up, but definitely
Right.
yeah, definitely I use his practices, some of the practices that
Oh
he
yeah.
taught, and I was also, one of his main programs. I was like I attended that, and I follow a lot of his teachings. So definitely he is at a different dimension. Like he knows the reality for what it is, and we are sort of within the matrix, and he is sort of out of the matrix. And whether it is, I'm not just talking about Sadhguru, but whether it is Osho, whether it is J.
Yeah.
Krishnamurti, whether it is Eckhart Tolle, and these people, uh, and it resonates with us. If you listen to him, right? Even though intellectually some of the things might not make sense, but deep within us, somewhere we know that this is the truth. And but what he teaches is yoga. So yoga is a totally different philosophy. And what I follow mainly right now is Advaita Vedanta. But the practices of yoga is extremely good for you, especially for your health, for your mental health. So yeah, definitely, I think he's one of the genuine teachers that are out there in this world today, and it will be good for anyone to follow his teachings.
Oh yeah, he's got some real practical advice. We just did a
Yeah,
video about some advice for if you're having trouble sleeping or something like that, and I was like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I hear what he's saying.
And
Um,
like I tend to judge people based on their actions, not on their words. And just look at what he is doing, right? He is doing so much for the rivers that are drying up in India. He's doing so
yes.
much for
Yeah.
deforestation and the save soil movement that he's like
Exactly.
we need to judge people based on their actions. These politicians speak a lot, but they don't do anything. So
Yeah.
and then there are people who do things. So
Right,
obviously,
and
yeah.
which is interesting because sometimes people will get fascinated by some of the more supernatural stuff, and sometimes you'll
Hmm.
see a master kind of be dismissive, like, "Look, anyone could be
Yeah.
saying anything." Like, more
Yeah, yeah.
importantly is the actions, like you
Correct.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know a lot on your channel. You talk about conscious creation. It's actually the first
Hmm.
time I heard that term used. Is it the same as manifestation? And what do you mean, I guess, by conscious creation? Like,
Yeah. Conscious creation is, conscious living and conscious creation and the principles of Advaita Vedanta. These three are the core principles that I live my life by, and my channel, our community platform, everything is about that.
Yeah.
So conscious creation is, like I said, for a decade now, I was studying these principles of law of attraction, manifestation, and all that. And I started manifesting different results in my life. I was I started I started applying certain principles, and I was the topper of my university when I was in the school, in my when I was in the architecture school. And then I started my company. I started getting projects, and I bought a car. So whatever I wanted, it was coming to me. But like I said, this was unconscious ambition. I didn't know what I truly wanted in life, and simply I was just seeking one thing after another. And I soon realized that there was no end to it. And never ever was I actually fulfilled or truly happy. So yeah, for me, conscious creation is fundamentally understanding the nature of reality through these principles of Vedanta, and then consciously creating our life, consciously choosing a vision for our life. Because even after understanding these principles, it's not that we need to give up everything and go and live in the forest, right? We can still live in this world. We can still go deeper into these principles. We can also help others. We can make use of this life in some way. So that is conscious creation for me. So for whoever it is, whether one is a professional, whether one is an entrepreneur, I think conscious creation as a principle can really help, because not only for their own fulfillment, of course, that is the primary thing, but then this perspective on the nature of reality and the nature of self, what one can create in this world is truly we can see remarkable results because from this perspective, what one does is always helpful to others. So, with this understanding, and it is also helpful to oneself because uh, this is true fulfillment. So, the primary focus of Upanishads is fulfillment and the end of suffering. These are the two promises made by Advaita Vedanta. So, for the students of Advaita Vedanta, this is the ultimate promise. You will be absolutely fulfilled once you truly go beyond this matrix, and it will end your suffering forever. You will never suffer for anything in your life. So it's not that you'll become a billionaire, but you will understand the reality for what it is. If there is a matrix, and within the matrix, if you're a billionaire, what is the point, right? Like it is still the matrix.
Yeah.
So the point is going beyond it. But if we want to create something within the matrix, even after understanding it for what it is, that is conscious creation, I think.
Like in a dream. You
Yeah.
know, nobody
Yeah,
wakes
yeah,
up
like
and
in a
go,
dream.
"Hey, man, you should be impressed. I was a millionaire in my dream last night."
Yes.
So did you find that your heart changed and your value changed anywhere along the way this journey? Like, was there ever a moment where you started to feel more compassion or something like that? Or
Yeah, definitely. So that is absolutely, it is bound to happen, right? Like because when I was living unconsciously, it's not that I'm living consciously every point of the day right now. It's simply, and it's not that I'm absolutely fulfilled right now. It's I'm more fulfilled than than
right?
what I was before, and I'm living more and more consciously now than before. So yeah, when we live unconsciously, right, we are only focused on our own life and nothing else. And this is very natural, and this is
Yeah.
how we are conditioned. And every animal is like this. But the opportunity of being a human being is that we can go beyond our animalistic nature, right? We can expand our identity with the to the universal consciousness. So once you start understanding these teachings more and more, and once you realize that technically there is no person outside of you, he is also just you in another form.
Right.
And obviously, giving and this charity and helping others in whatever small ways we can becomes natural. So
It's like
it
imagine
becomes.
finding someone and being like, because there's a lot of sort of fake relationships. There's probably a lot of people that spend every day with each other, and it's just
Mm,
two softwares, going off of
mm,
pre-programming back and forth. And it's like, imagine promising somebody like, you're going to be actually not alone. You're going to be
yeah,
actually, conscious enough to engage. Like, it won't be a fake facade. It seems like
yeah.
there's a stark difference, with consciousness between
Mm.
something fake versus something a little with more depth and more real.
Yeah. And and this is a very fascinating thing to think about, right? What Advaita Vedanta says is the world is non-dual. There is just one reality, and everything else, the duality is a illusion. So technically you and me are at a deeper level, we are one and the same. But right now, in this temporary simulation, you are this body and I'm this body, and we are interacting. And I was thinking, what is the point of love, and what is love if there is actually just one without the other?
Good
What is the
question.
point? Yeah, what is love, right? But then this was the question that came to my mind. I was thinking about it, and then I was looking at my parents and my wife in my house when I was sitting, and I immediately got a feeling that it is just recognizing this oneness. That's all. It is just going beyond the body and mind, and it is just seeing that oneness in everything.
I like
A-
that
and
because,
that
yeah.
yeah, and that is very easy when we try it first with our family members, because that
Oh,
is
yeah.
where naturally love is already there. And once we start to understand this philosophy, it becomes more evident in the first circle at first, at least. Yeah.
It's so true, like I feel like it's easy to get into like just a habit of being like, I love you. And people say I love you and watch movies
Yeah.
about love. It's like one day I was kind of like, well, wait a sec. What exactly is love? What are we saying here? And I like what you said there about getting a sense of it, and starting with something probably hopefully for most of us is easier is with your family. Some people not so much.
Seems kind of like getting a meta. It seems like getting a meta perspective, because it's actually really you're learning to love yourself. Really,
right?
Yeah.
If it's all one thing, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Which kind of like I don't know, for some reason karma came to mind. You talk a little bit on your channel about karma, and how that like affects you, I guess, through your lives. I know karma is pretty deep. We've done some reactions on karma. It's not always what people think it is. Maybe you could share a little bit about what you know about karma, and maybe some of the deeper insights there.
Yeah. And yeah, the three principles that I focus on within our community and whatever I do is Brahma, Karma, and Dharma. These are the three principles that are very important to understand to live consciously. And karma is simply action and memory, right? Whatever we do, we remember. So even psychologists and even people who study mind can, validate this. Whatever experience that you have gone through, deep within your subconscious, you remember this. It leaves an imprint. It might not be accessible to your conscious mind, but deep within the memory is there. And through hypnosis and different methods, you can retrieve that information.
Oh yeah.
So this is karma. Karma is simply this. Karma is action and memory. What it says is the principle is about cause and effect. And whatever you do right now, it's not that there is someone else outside of you who makes note of it. It's just that your system, your internal body, the subtle body, the Sukshma Sharira, the three bodies, right? Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and Karana Sharira in Vedanta. The nature of the subtle body is such that it takes impressions. Whatever you do, good or bad, it simply takes within its takes that information and it stores within itself. And this information is stored for an infinite number of time, and it is not erased until that information is again it is again thrown out of the system. For example, if you have it doesn't matter in which physical body you are, right? So you might have done something in this life with this physical body, but this life, when I say this life, that limitation is only for your physical body. Your subtle body passes on through different lifetimes, and whatever impression that it has accumulated in this life, it might dump it out, or it might manifest for you in the next life. So this is karma. It might also happen within this life itself. So there are various types of karma. There is sanchita karma, prarabdha karma, agami karma, kriyamana karma. So there is a entire framework of how this works. But the fundamental thing is your subtle body remembers everything that you have done throughout all of your lifetimes. And just like how today you are the sum total of your experiences, right? Whoever you are, your personality, whatever you have consumed through your learning throughout your life, you are putting it outside through this conversation. Whatever I have consumed, I'm putting it out through this conversation. Just like this, whatever we have experienced, the karma, it is gathered at some point and it is let out in some point. And when we go on doing good things in life, so the good impressions are accumulated, and the same good things are let out, and we'll experience good circumstances and events. So the same thing is for negative things also. So this is how karma works.
Is there a way to kind of like cancel out the negative? Like, say someone at the first front of their life had done a whole bunch of bad stuff, and then looking ahead, they wanted to, make up for some of those terrible things that they did. Could they cancel out some of the bad karma by simply having an influx or an overwhelming amount of good things that they do in, say, the back half?
Yeah. So first to clarify, I'm not an expert in the intricacies of it.
Okay.
But then what I have understood through my study is that you cannot cancel out bad karma through good karma. So that can never happen.
Okay.
Except with a spiritual technique, or there are certain methods in yoga, for example, where you go into deep states of yogic practices and meditation, and you start burning the karma. You start burning all your accumulations, and that is, you cannot choose whether to burn only bad and keep the good. So when you are in that state, you start burning all the accumulations one by one, layer by layer. So
Oh.
that is there, but by doing good, um, you cannot reverse the bad.
Yeah.
That is not possible, it is said. But you'll experience the good for good and the bad for bad.
Wow. Oh, very fascinating. Um, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, Sujan.
Yeah.
Uh, if you have like the overall arching message of your channel, it seems like it's a mixture of kind of like sharing ancient insights while at the same time providing personal development for people out there. What would you like if someone came and stumbled upon the show? Like, what type of a message do you have for the people that are watching you in the world? Like, what do you what? I'm opening up the mic. What would you like to say?
Yeah. So first, whatever what we need to realize is that no matter what we seek outside and no matter what we get from this world, it will ultimately not fulfill us. We can go and ask the billionaires, we can go and ask people, all these celebrities who seem to have achieved everything there is to achieve, right? And some of them are very open on this issue. Some of the most famous celebrities are, they're seeking counseling on their mental health issues. So it is very evident that external success and external attainments will not give us what we are looking for, and everyone is looking for absolute fulfillment and joy. That is all we are looking for. We try to get this from different sources. Some tries to get this through a business, some tries to get this in a relationship, but ultimately we are seeking fulfillment and joy. And what these ancient Upanishads tell us is that if you go within yourself and if you understand who you truly are, you will get absolute fulfillment and absolute joy, because the nature of your true self is joy, and you are the source of fulfillment. And even when you sort of try to find it outside of you, and let's say even if you get it, the little bit of fulfillment and joy that you get from the external attainments is also coming through you. Let's say you wanted a car and you bought a car. It's not that the car gave you fulfillment. The fulfillment was within you and it manifested because of the purchase of the car. So instead of doing that, directly go within yourself where the ocean of fulfillment is, and you attain that, and then you go to whatever you want in this world. Your entire life will become a joyful journey. So that is what these ancient Upanishads say. And I would like to thank those ancient teachers and rishis who gave us this knowledge. And yeah, and I think everyone should at least look at these teachings once in
You
their
just
life.
you just gave people a green light to be fulfilled for once in their life. Maybe some people are
Yes.
just waiting for someone to say, "Look, don't wait to get the car. Don't wait to do the stuff. It's in you right now. Just find it,
Yeah.
feel it."
Correct.
Yeah. So, well, I guess lastly, I would say, why don't you let our audience know where they can find you and what you got going on before we close out here?
Yeah, so most of the teachings, as much as we can, as much of value that we can give, we do it through our YouTube channel. So
Yeah.
that is Advaita, and they can find people who are interested in this can find me there. And people who want to go deeper, we are also creating a community come learning platform where we go deep into these um, some deeper level teachings, and there is a community aspect of people who are into this together. So even that is all the details on that is at advaita.com, so people can find information there.
Very great. Thank you
Go
so
check
much
them
for
out.
being on the show, Sujan.
Yeah,
God
thank you.
bless, man. Take care.
Thank you. Namaste.